on my Comic Set Army. We're back with Chuck again, but this time we're going to interview him. How you doing, Chuck?
Oh, dude, always good. You?
I'm doing great. You told me that you put out a book recently. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it wasn't, what's recent in indie comics, right?
Right.
It went out kind of late last year, around, I think, September or so, but it's called Belisle. And Belisle is about the original creator of Hell and how he created Hell and all the demons and everything, and then when Lucifer was sent down, God gave Hell to Lucifer, and now after millennia of Lucifer being in charge, Belisle is just a big fat nobody, and he's treated like basically like a has-been. And this is kind of just him getting back up and taking it back again. And we had a very different take on Hell. Because, whenever I read a Hell book, they all look the same. It's like dripping in blood and bones and super evil. And I was like, no, I've seen it before. So we made it a comedy. We had a lot of fun with it and a lot of like dick and fart jokes and just really went to town with it and just had a blast with it. And so far, all of our reviews have been really good. Everyone's been enjoying it and having a good time with it. So I'm excited that we're now working on issue 2 and trying to get that one out.
How far are you going to take the book? How many issues?
Good question. It's going to be a mini-series. I have it set up for 4 issues right now. It's probably going to be issue 1, 2, 3, and then a nice giant-sized issue 4.
All right. Where can people go to their local comic book store and request this book?
Sadly, not right now. You're going to have to find us on facebook.com/BelileComic. Track us down, and we'll get it out there. But the idea is that eventually we might try to turn the trade into something for a publisher or something like that. Get it out there.
And I know that you're an editor. Can you tell us what's the process when you get the book? What's the steps of editing for people that don't know the inside?
So, and that in itself is a much bigger question than you understand, because there's so many different types of editing, especially in comics. A lot of times when someone is an editor in like the big leagues, Marvel and whatnot, editing is mostly just like making sure the storyline is going the way it needs to be, submissions, just making sure that everyone's doing their work, just kind of wrangling everyone together to make sure, hey, are you doing your stuff? Cool. Are you doing your stuff? Great. I got to move on to my next book. For me, I'm a freelance editor, which means I work directly for you. You hire me, and I work for you. So a lot of times people will be like, well, I don't like to hire an editor because they're going to change my work. No, dude, I work for you. So everything I tell you, it's a suggestion. You don't have to listen to me. If you don't, it's a bad idea. Like, you hired me for a reason. You either trust me or you don't. But if you don't, then we're not going to work together, and maybe I'm not the guy for you, which is okay. But with editing, there's lots. I'm a story guy, so I want it before you even start a script. If I can, I want you to give me your outline and tell me what you see the issue looking like. That way we can catch any of the plot mistakes right away. We can go, man, you didn't even want to write that. Take that out. Let's switch these things around, blah, blah, blah. Then they have a nice little outline, kind of like, I like to explain it like building a house.
Okay.
Let's get that foundation going on. Let's get those beams up, get everything going good before we start, laying out the walls and stuff. You don't want to put those walls up and you got nothing to tack them to. So from there, I like to do, story editing, voice editing, making sure that everybody's voices sound right. You got proofing, which is making sure that the grammar and all of the spelling mistakes are gone. Everything's perfect there. And then you've got art direction, which is making sure that the art kind of reads properly and that everything works well. That often includes like the lettering, making sure the lettering is done properly, all that sorts of stuff. So there's an awful lot to it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was just they send you the book and you make sure everything's spelled correctly. I didn't know. It's a lot more to editing than what I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And honestly, I know some really amazing proofers, and I do proofing, but it's not what I prefer to do. I would prefer to help you work on your story and get your story to be tip top awesome. So yeah, that's a nice, easy, quick job that I'll take, but it's not what I prefer to do.
All right. Well, without exposing anybody, could you tell us a time that you had a bad experience editing a book, that it was just awful? I mean, you can tell us who it was if you want, but no pressure.
I'm smarter than that. You ain't getting named. Okay. There was this one. You know what? This one comes with a lesson. I've told this story a lot, so I enjoy this one. It's a good one to tell. A good friend of mine said, "Hey, can you help this dude out? He needs some editing done on his book, you know." And I'd considered a personal favor. I was like, "Okay, cool." So I hooked up with the person. I said, "What do you need?" He goes, "Well, the book's done. I just need someone to go through and catch all of the spelling mistakes and all that." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, no problem." So I went through the entire book, and I had pages of notes for spelling mistakes, grammar errors, all that kind of stuff, which is fine. Everyone's gonna make mistakes. Not an issue at all. And we had a deal worked out wherein he would make me a cover or a print for my comic, and I would do the editing. And that was a good trade-off, and I was happy with that. So everything was good. Sent him the notes, and he messaged me a little bit later, and he said, "Hey man, so kind of got a problem. I'm not gonna need you." And I'm like, "Okay, but I already did the work." And he was like, "Well, I got picked up by a publisher, and they want to send my book to print now." And I said, "Well, wait, but it's riddled with errors. Like, there are tons of errors in that thing." And he's like, "Yeah, they want it as is. They want to start printing it and showing it off now." And I was like, "My name is not in that book, is it?" And he was like, "No. Do you want me to get it in there?" I'm like, "No, do not put my name in that book. Keep me out of it. I want nothing to do with it, man." And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, do you want to do that print then? You want to send me?" "No. You know what? We're good." I just kind of nicely cut off ties and went, "No, we're fine. Everything's good. Don't worry about it. You go do your thing." But in my mind, if you don't take that stuff seriously and your publisher doesn't take that stuff seriously, you're already doomed. Right. And I'll tell you, I still know the person. I still have them, in my socials. And they ended up having a falling out with that publisher. And that publisher has had many issues. And I refuse to deal with that publisher, because if you don't take that stuff seriously, then all you're there is for the cash grab. You don't care about the books. You don't care what's going on. And if you as a creator allow that, you're as complicit as them. You're allowing yourself to be ignorant. I gave him notes, pages of stuff to change, and he was like, "No, we're good." If you really feel that way, then you're not taking this seriously. So, and I know that they're trying to take it seriously now. I haven't spoken to them since about it, but if you're taking it seriously, you need to correct your damn work, and you need to be willing to tell somebody, "No, this isn't up to snuff yet. Let me fix it. Let me get it there, and then we'll make it happen."
All right. I know you're a reviewer also, but we're going to get to that. What do you think about the scouters that's jumping up the Batman 98? I want to get your opinion on that.
I'm not sure what you mean there.
You know the Batman first appearance of Punchline?
Yeah, okay.
Where people's buying the book for cover price and putting it online for hundreds of dollars?
Yep.
What's your opinion on that? Do you think that's good for the comic community, or do you think it's bad?
Well, here's the thing. If people are buying it,
right,
then that's something. I hate the price gouging, and I hate the fact that real fans have a hard time getting the book because dicks are going and buying 10 copies of them early on. Mm-hmm. And it's very frustrating. And also, it just reminds me a lot of the issues that we had in the 90s with comics, where, people, there was so many, it was less about the story and more about, 100 variant covers and all this kind of, reboots and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know what, man, at the end of the day, what we need to do is keep creating really cool stories. And so I understand the collectibles market is a part of it, and that's fine, but that's not who I'm selling to necessarily. So I make variants. I try to only do, like, say, one or two per issue of my book, just so that you have some options. You can, you as a collector can take some pride in what I've done and all that. But man, I don't know, man. It just reminds me of the dickheads who bought all the toilet paper and sanitizer. Come on. Get a couple copies, sell them, but don't be a dick. Don't take everybody's stuff. And also, it makes the book seem more popular than it is. Like, if everybody's going out there buying 10, 20 copies to resell as a slab or whatnot, well, then how big was this book really? Like, it's not a good indicator of what this book actually was.
All right. Well, tell us a positive story about editing, because we heard your nightmare story. Do you have a...
Honestly, man, most of the stories are positive. I work with really good people who honestly want to do better. So right. I work with so many great people. Eric Cockrell, Chris Tomasma, Shane Morrison, Joseph Dewis. Oh my goodness, just so many amazing, awesome people, more than I can even remember at this moment. And all they want is to make their stuff better. And so I've come to people and just been like, dude, this doesn't work. And to their credit, they could get down, they could get rough, but they go, okay, cool. How do we fix it? Terrific. Okay, This is my suggestion. And I'll tell them. And they jump on it, and you know what? We usually end up in a really good place. So honestly, man, the good stories are there all the time. It's just about people caring about what they do and really wanting to put out the best product they possibly can. And so, yeah, man, I work with great people, and I'm proud to continue doing it.
All right. Is there a book out right now that's not getting the credit it deserves, that you think?
Oh, dude. Well,
is there one that you recommend for us to read that we should go tomorrow to our comic book shop and pick out? What's Chuck's pull?
So I've loved some of my favorite books are Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies, Travis Gibb. Love that dude. He's my motherfucker.
He's awesome. I've reviewed his books. They are amazing.
They're really good. Harlan Buck by Scott Weldon is an amazing series. Absolutely awesome. Bun by Brian Silviera. I can't talk more about that book. It's fantasy on crack. It's absolutely amazing. I like to tell people that I'm a fantasy writer, but what he comes up with, I could never do. He's just on a whole other level. And then Judas Breed is another absolutely amazing book, and I'm so pissed off that the name of the author is completely out of my head right now, because I love me such a good dude. But Brown, I know it's Brown. But he's got an absolutely amazing book. It's basically like it's very similar to the movie Aliens, but he's definitely got his own take. It's very cinematic. Art is gorgeous. Those are my top books right now.
You're an awesome guy, Chuck, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you listed off everybody else's book and did not promote your own book, Belisle. That's awesome. I'm not seeing that done before.
You know what the thing is that I don't like those dudes. Like, there's so many, and you and I are on so many of the same groups, and people will be like, what's the best book right now? And then some dude will be like, my book. And I'll be like, shut the fuck up. Like, right. What you're telling me is you're not a fan. You're doing this just for you. Yep. I buy and read other people's books. I enjoy other people's books. And I'm not so egotistical as to think that I'm putting out the best thing there is. I want my own fans. I don't want to be my biggest fan. I want some other kid to come up to me like, dude, Belisle rocked my socks. I loved it. Like, we just got a great review last night. I was so blown away. It was by a bunch of heavy drinkers from Scotland, and it was awesome. They had these deep brogues talking about the book, and it was amazing to think someone across the pond is talking about my book. That's awesome. I shouldn't have to talk about it. Someone else should. So, yeah, man, that was just it's an amazing feeling. Why do it? Why push that, you know?
You there?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. It done this yesterday when I was interviewing Al Simpson, the vampire of New Jersey. We was in mid-conversation, and my internet would just cut down and boot back up. But I'll edit that part out. About the biggest fan?
Basically about being, well, I don't want to be my own biggest fan, basically. I want someone else to be my fan. We were just reviewed by a place in Scotland, and a bunch of great drinkers from Scotland, and they talked about the book, and that just felt so awesome to have other people gush about it and excited. So why would I take that away from myself and be my own biggest fan? I know when I need to market and when to push, but when it comes to truly loving comics, we should be supporting other people, and so I find that if someone's out there and he's like, my book is the greatest book ever, I'm like, cool, I'm not buying your book.
Right.
Like, I'm not interested in that. I want someone else to tell me your book's good. And if someone else isn't talking about your book and you have to, man, maybe that says something about your book. And I don't, I haven't read it, so I can't say, but I'm just telling you, man, it's telling that you're your own biggest fan. So get real fans and be a real fan.
Yep. And you do reviews. Tell the people about your reviews. Where can we see some of Chuck's reviews?
So you can go to YouTube. You can go to Chuck's Raw Reviews. I think what's neat about reviewing is everyone has their own different take, their own different reason, their own voice. And so I'm very honest about the fact that I love indie comics. It's why I make them. And I'm just passionate about what I do. So when I review stuff that I can enjoy and show off to the public. So the worst review you will ever get from me is if you submit something to me and I get back to you and I say, honestly, dude, I can't sell this. I didn't like it at all. I can't talk about it. And that remains between you and I. Like if someone, let's say, sadly, you sent me a book and I just didn't like it, but I'm sorry, dude, I can't sell this book. Here are my issues. And I usually sit down with them like an editor and say, these are my problems with the book and why it just didn't work for me. And, to a lot of people's credit, they go, cool, well, thank you. That helps. Now I know what to work on and what to look for. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad to help you with that. So all of my reviews are positive. I only talk about books I enjoy or that I can find the good in and say, hey, this isn't for me. Like, I'm not necessarily a manga guy, but Legend of the Erased is a great book, and I would love for people to go check it out and fire people that way. And, the art's great and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man, there's always it's always about positivity for me.
All right. Do you have any shout-outs or anything that I haven't touched on that you want to talk about real quick? Or
well, you know what? I would love to talk real quick about my, especially with everything that's going on right now. I know that budgets are tight. I know that people are having a tough time. So my boy Eric Cockrell and I, we created an audio drama. It's basically like the old kind of 40s radio programs, but done in a very modern style. It's kind of got like a TV series feeling to it. We have our first season is out. We're halfway through it. We just dropped episode 5, and they're on anywhere where you can get podcasts. We're on the Google store. We're on Apple. We're on Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Like, we're on all that stuff. Look up Essence House. It's a metaphysical mystery time travel drama. It's really cool. We're having a great time with it. It's really ramping up to that episode 10 season finale. and it's all free on the podcast network. So right now that's 2 hours of free entertainment, where if you're stuck at home, you can plug that in, enjoy it, have a good old time. And, if you really like it and you feel bad for not paying, you can either check out our Patreon or you can give us a rating. And I'm perfectly happy with go to Apple, go to Podchaser, go to whatever, and just give us a rating, any old rating, just to say, hey, we like what you do, keep it up.
All right, and I'll put a link down in the description to the podcast YouTube channel and your Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep, not a problem. Thank you, Chuck. It's always a pleasure, man.
Always. Thank you, man. I appreciate coming on.
Yep, not a problem.